Hi, welcome back to Keep It Dirty, a podcast where my guests share their life living functionally and sustainably, and their why behind our ever changing environment. I am your host, Leslie Dowling. I'm a functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioner and corporate speaker, helping people jumpstart one's path to increase revenue and productivity through restorative health techniques. And today, it's a pleasure to introduce to you me. I don't have any guests today, but I wanted to give a shout out to everybody that has been feeling just a lot of energy, that everyone seems to be on fight or flight, and a lot of my groups of friends that are in the podcasting world. We have a gift of voice, and that was my calling years ago. That's something before my mother passed in October of 2022. She said, "Leslie, you have a voice. It has to be heard." And you've always been a great listener, wanting to know people's story. And people would say to me, "What is it about you that you could just speak to somebody in a supermarket, or you just have this energy about you, Leslie, that people open up and tell your story?" And I think a lot of us are in such fight or flight where we're not taking the time to just step into the green zone, to take that deep breath, to break away from breaking news, and just to try to get back to ourselves. We're never going to get back to a normalcy. Let's be real. Our whole culture, our environment, we need to just make peace that we're all human. We all have to remember that. Why are we on this planet, right? Why are we here? Our true intentions of when we came into this world, when we were birthed into this world, was what? We had love, not hate and anger. And I wanted to give a shout out to Pickles and Pasta. And so, Jay and Steph, I hear you. I hear you. I am on the same boat with you. And it's creators like us that can nurture and to just embrace our culture, to just say, just take one day at a time. Let's all try to be more human, and really just get in touch with who we are as a person, to try to spend more time with our loved ones, with our community, and just simple things like smile at somebody. When you go in the supermarket, it seems like everybody's so focused on just getting whatever they need, get out of the store, and you could just feel this rushed energy. Here on the East Coast, we had this crazy weather, and we've had a lot of really cold snips, long cold snips where there's just ice everywhere. 2 weeks ago, we had that big snowstorm. I had a dog that it was like all these things were layering and happening. She had an issue with a scratched cornea of her eye. She couldn't walk. Our well water and septic system where we live, the well water, it kept going on and off the water. So it's just like layer upon layer that we just have to take a deep breath, get back to like freaking doing energy, like Reiki, if you can have Reiki done. Get back to simple things like go take a yoga class, do something to tap back into the spirit of who we are, and to tap into just being present, taking that deep breath. And that's where the functional health realm, jumps into play. And not be so critical of people, and really just hearing people's views and opinions, because years ago, our society, living in a diplomatic society, we embraced and we respected everybody's point of view politically, religion, on so many levels. And we are getting away from that again. And this is the time we need for us to join forces and to really heal our hearts, and just take it day by day. That's the other thing I wanted to say, one day at a time. I have a son who is in the Army. He's over stationed in Hawaii, and he is lieutenant. But I don't know where they're going to take him, where he'll be. Will he be just stationed in Hawaii? He's going to be going over to the Philippines, where he will be training. So, we're all in this together. That's all I have to say. I guess I just had to get on today for this podcast to say we all have shit going on. We all have our stories. We all have tragedies going on. We have stuff going on with family, with dynamics of work, but that'll never change. We got to just take that deep breath and just be true, be honest, and just try to keep it dirty, right? That's why I started this 5 years ago. It was just a true hobby of mine, just getting my voice out and for people to really start listening and to taking the time to hear people's story. That's really it, the love of story. And if people can resonate with other people's stories, like, hey, yeah, my mother had a stroke and there were issues going on at home. And I felt like I was just trying to hold everybody together as the empath, always trying to nurture and help others. But I'm shifting and changing, and it's okay to do that. That's what I'm saying. So I'm taking more control and charge of my life. I'm trying to be more in the present moment because, do as I say, not as I do is not the way I live. And it's like, if you're going to walk the walk, then just be honest with yourself. Try to get through a lot of things that we're dealing with now. Yes, it really stinks. And there's a lot of stuff going on that if my parents were alive today, they wouldn't believe what's going on. A lot of people can understand that and just say, yeah, if my brother were here today, he passed 10 years ago or whatever. I'm just saying, my father passed in 1989. So I think if he saw what was going on with the world, he was a true, honest, gentle human being that always said, Leslie, always speak the truth, always stay grounded, and just have compassion for others because people are going through a lot. And so I learned a lot from my father. And my mother was just a savvy, really strong woman with a presence. And years ago, a lot of people would take her aback a little because she was a go-getter, take charge. She wasn't, Miss Happy Homemaker, just always home, home, home. That's what I did for many years, actually. So my husband could rise above and travel and do all the things to be able to be successful. But now it's my time to shine. I had a mom who she would be doing part-time and then go back to work. Then she was PTA president. So I had a mixture of just these different cultures and growing up in New York and in Manhattan with all the artsy people and people that did energy work. And I used to watch In Search of Leonard Nimoy with my dad. My dad always says, don't be the sheep. Don't always believe what you see. And that's what's happening now. Years ago, I used to love watching Walter Cronkite as a little girl. And you'd watch the news to really get the news. The journalists were doing what they're passionate about, to speak what was going on. And I'm not here to take any sides. I am just saying I respect everybody's thoughts and opinions, but we need to hold true to ourselves and get back to the humanity of why we're here in this world. So I'm going to put a little sprinkle of functional health. If you are on fight or flight right now, I want everybody to try to and I have not been doing this, and I'm going to get back to this. This podcast today is going to get me back on track. I haven't been sleeping that well. I've been just absorbing the energy. I've been seeing how people in our community are responding on certain posts that are just, they're venting, and that's good. Like, speak your opinion and your thoughts, and it's all right. And I just want to say to my friends, don't ever take anything personally because people are just trying to express themselves right now. But on that note, try to get the rest that you need. I know I haven't been. I've been sick. I've been stressed. I've been cooped up in the house. I had a dog that was sick, just stressors with things going on in our home, which is normal. Nobody's kumbaya and perfect. Then the first person that's going to tell you I'm perfect and everything's great and I'm in a perfect relationship and my kids are perfect, that's BS, okay? We all have things going on. But if we could be the best person and the best role model and be physically, emotionally, and spiritually in check, and this is a challenging time in our life, everybody, take the time to eat healthy, really push yourself to eat properly, And don't skip the meals and continue to try to go on an empty tank because you need your brain to function and your gut is your second brain. So try to eat healthy and be really mindful of maybe doing essential oils where you have the diffuser at night, maybe use the lavender on the soles of your feet. Just get really good, clean essential oils. I don't push it. I do doTERRA. I always have, but I do believe in just the power of taking time, trying homeopathics. Yes, allopathic versus functional modalities. We need those doctors in an acute illness. But if we can, as I'm sort of like the middleman as a practitioner. So I hear you. I take the time to listen to my clients. I don't have patients, I have clients. I stay in my lane. I respect the fact that I might recommend certain things like the vitamin D and things that I take that I know has help, but I'm not here to assess to say, oh, this is what you should take, because I'm not a doctor. I have all my certifications and designations and my program. That's another thing that the school that Andrea Nakayama started has been bought, I think it's the second time. And I'm not going to go into details, but her mission and her story and her passion to hear people, to not have them just a number, but to take the time to figure out what's going on with you. We're all bio-individual, and as I say, we're all walking journals. We all have layers of being birthed into this world. If you were birthed into the world, and I'll get a little more like techie on this, but were you a C-section? Were you birthed naturally, vaginally? Because if you were natural without the C-section, which, whatever, people say, oh, C-section, natural, you get all of the antibodies to build your system up, to have a strong system. And what were you birthed? Were you birthed number 4, number 5? Was your mom compromised? Back in the 70s, a lot of moms were smoking cigarettes and it was okay, which today is unheard of. But yes, when you're born vaginally, you go through the canal, you go through, and when you come out into this world, there are statistics, you can look into it, that your immune system is stronger. But as the mother is more compromised, as having more births, you might be birth number 5 and maybe your immune system wasn't good. Maybe as a child you were on antibiotics, which was a big thing back in the 70s and 80s. And now in the 60s, now people are more cognizant that they don't want their kids on a lot of antibiotics if they don't need it, because then you build an immunity to it and then you have to have stronger antibiotics, which is like a vicious cycle. So, in the 2-year program, that actually was like 3 years for me, because I kept, and I still continue. I was continually 4 years. I was going through the program. So I was very, very integrated in learning whatever Andrea was bringing to the table. But unfortunately, the program that she had speared is now the company that took over. They have condensed everything to under a year, which is not the program that we had, unfortunately. But there's still all of us, these fellow practitioners, our brothers or sisters that went through the program, the functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioners through FXNA. We still can make a change, and we have to band together, and we need to be here on this world. And our calling is really helping people, because the timing was right. I do believe that we all crossed paths for a reason. And I found Andrea's program, and I spoke to a rep on the phone, and what she was saying and the way that she expressed why Andrea started her program, and that we all need to be heard. We all are so bio-individual. There are, our roots on what's going on with the root cause of whatever we're dealing with epigenetically. Is it environmentally? Is it relationships? Is it hormonal? Like, she created this beautiful wheelhouse, and from all different types of questions, from 0 to your current age. So you could say, for example, oh, at 20, wow. So there's a 67 question intake form, which is probably up to 70 something after we went through lockdown and shutdown in some places didn't. And be that as it may, so a lot of mental challenges and issues that a lot of us were enduring at the time. There's a questionnaire that was added to the program onto the things that when we work with clients. So basically, we have a roadmap and we talk and speak into all these different avenues of not just what you're eating, but your spiritual, your skin absorbing all of, say, the chemicals that we're ingesting, the plastics, the microplastics. I mean, you name it. I don't want to bombard everybody. It's very overwhelming. But in this world we are living in today, it is so different than when I was a kid. We didn't have all these ultra processed and processed ingredients. We didn't have all of the Bluetooth, right? The smart devices, the smart cars. So those are the electromagnetic waves that are going through our body. So it's hitting us on a cellular level. And if you listen to Dr. Mark Hyman, he specifically talks and speaks into this. He is head speared and he is amazing, along with so many other wonderful functional doctors and functional practitioners. So we're being affected on a cellular level on all of these devices too. So like I said, I'm putting it out there. Do your diligence, do your research. I did. I am speaking from experience, from working with clients that have had issues. Glioblastoma is on the rise. And if you do start looking more into it, just be very mindful. I say this to my children, putting those smart devices right in your ears and just having balance. Because look, I'm on right now. So what? Call me a liar? No. I do social media and I'm on my laptop, but I give myself a break and I make sure that I don't always use those AirPods, that I'm actually using for the earbuds. See, I'm just so ancient that I don't even know the terminology for those devices, but I know what the heck I'm talking about. I've done my research and I've sat in on lectures and paid listening to very well versed doctors and scholars that have written scores of books on what our new world that we're living in, and for the next generation to just educate your family and let them be aware. You don't want to overload these kids with all of these devices. Pull the routers out and unplug their devices and their computers if they have them in their rooms, and even the smart TVs, the smart cars. This is all affecting us that we can't visually see this on a cellular level. And I'm just going to quickly circle back. Glioblastoma is on the rise, which is true, factual. And I had a friend whose father passed and they saw lesions on the right hemisphere of his brain, cancer, okay? And he would always, and I remember the time that all these smart devices started coming out, he was always on the phone constantly. He'd be running with the phone up to his ear all the time. And the doctor said to the family, did your dad use the cell phone constantly? Was he right-handed? Was it always yes? Yes. So little story there, true. And I'm not trying to send scare tactics. What I'm doing is trying to tell people, just be aware. And don't live in a bubble. Ask questions, just like I did as a kid. My father said, just don't always be the sheep following everybody else. Ask questions, think outside of the box, be creative. And that's why I love what I do today, because my voice gets out there. I love to engage with people. I have found my calling, and people on my podcast afterwards, when we are done recording, say, wow, Leslie, you didn't go exactly from the script that my agency had. It's generic. It's boring, honestly. I said to them, it's very generic. It's kind of everybody, it's like you're jaded. Everybody's going to ask you the same question. You're going to be prompted. You're going to be scripted, and you're not going to sit and just let the guards down. Because I don't ever go, just to give you a background, when I have somebody on my show, I have a lot of agencies reaching out to me. Some of them I'm like, are they legit? You just never know. And I do my research and then I'm like, wow, okay. And they funnel all these wonderful guests my way that have been on talk shows, that have written books on different, like I had somebody who was very well versed in what's going on with cancer research. I'll put it that way. So when I have these people on, they're ready for me to just ask verbatim the questions. And I said, do you mind if I just take the time to just ask you, what is your passion and perseverance in life? What is it that has that fire in you? Did you find that in life? Are you doing what you love to do? And then that opens up dialogue. And that could go into other avenues. And I think it's because I know it's because I am a Reiki practitioner. I have been as a little girl. I could tap in and just feel the room. I could feel the energy. And that's a gift that we all have. But I just was open to it because I had family members, and my mom was into numerology. She was also very well respected as a realtor and broker, very, very successful in the Wyomissing Reading area, always on different boards, always a mover and shaker. But whatever she did, she always was very successful. And she was really like my role model and somebody I always looked up to. But she had a heart of gold, and she always was very into the spiritual side, which she never really talked about. So for that, Mom, wherever you are, thank you. She's been, yeah, and my father was just the salt of the earth. Just always, Leslie, speak your truth. Don't lie, because lies get you into trouble. And just be yourself, be authentic. So I had two really great role models growing up. And I'm hoping that I can instill that into my children, that they understand that. And I think they're really doing well. So I have these three beautiful kids. And, do I brag a lot about them? No. I keep a low profile. But if you're listening, I'm very proud. But yeah, I've been kind of a little all over the place today, but I just wanted to just say to everybody, try to be in the green zone, try to get the rest you need. And don't always think that somebody's out to get you, that, you know, um, going into that fight or flight mode, and decompress. Take the time to do something you really enjoy. Just get the heck out of your environment. Go for a walk. Go call somebody you haven't spoken to in a while. Maybe grab something, a lunch or after work. Now I don't work in the office anymore. I do go in and speak and do nonprofit work, but I'm actually going to get back into the love of my interior design, which a lot of people don't know. Just to let you know that I did this in my 20s, late 20s, early 30s, commercial and residential design. So I have my degree, Bachelor of Science in Marketing Management, and also a minor in textile design. So I did two double majors. But also I went back for architectural drafting and design, AutoCAD, and I'm in the middle of just working on my shore house and being the general contractor and overseeing everything. And I just always loved and very good and very strong at hand-drawn elevations. So that's something I love to do. And it's like the higher forces is like, go back to your passion of the art and drawing and fabric and texture. And down the shore, my mother and I had a store called In the Pink back in the 90s. My father was in the textile industry. So we had all of these sweaters, seconds that were contracted out, where they put labels on Alexander Julian, Polo. So my mother and I had everything on consignment. So consignment, for people that don't know, we got everything free, right? Well, quote unquote free. And then when we would sell it, then we would give a percentage back. But long story short, I met a lot of great people in the industry that family owned different establishments. And now I'm going to go down to the beach. I'm going to live there this summer. My kids and my family, my husband will come and go to see me, and he'll be coming back to Pennsylvania to check on the house and, you know, still travel and do his thing. But yeah, I'm really excited. So there's a lot of good things for people. Start listening to your inner voice and hear. This is the time in this world that we're all speaking the truth. We're all making changes for the better. And just, you want that vibration, that high energy to just take you to a better place instead of being marred down in this negative energy. And yes, it's spiritually speaking, you want to just rise above all the crap that we've been seeing. And when you do that, you'll attract people that have that beautiful energy. And the people that repel it will just, maybe they will someday just say, hey, you know what? I want to be in a better place. So with that, I'm sending love. And I hope that you have an amazing rest of your week to get through this environment and our new world. But no, there's a lot of positivity out there too. And there's people like us that we try to band together to create that feeling of we're going to get through it. And for all my viewers, subscribers, listeners, I really appreciate the support. I appreciate the support in the Reading area, and why I'm missing a lot of great people are really loving what I'm sharing and the guests which I will be having in 2026 as we go forward. I'm going to have really amazing guests on, and amazing guests locally, because we're all amazing people. So remember to get out there, ground with Mother Earth, and keep it dirty. Bye, everybody.